Hey Felix, if you could just kick around something in your shop for me. It's about a funny thing. 8 is linked to a group you guys are paying to run organs at Camp Bondsteel, which it so happens is in Kosovo.
As Bond drove over from the Four Seasons to meet his contact, he recalled a conversation he had with Felix on the night he came in.
And it's visible from space. Old buddy, a lot of things happen there. What if you give me a hint? Not on this one. If I told you what I know, Langley would render or kill you. I've got a ticket to Kosovo, Felix. Say hi to the quiet man for me if you see him. Good luck, my friend. We'll talk more tomorrow.
Felix disconnected like a moment of silence. Bond was thinking about the quiet man, the head of overworld that ran Spectre. Some of them passed themselves off as upper middle-class families. They sought only to remain in private power, in quiet or un-Trumpian domination. Bond took a right off the green, tree-laden road into the gate boxes of the George Bush Center for Intelligence, where the man at the gate had been expecting him in Felix's Mercedes. He gave Bond a parking sticker and pointed to the area and the lot where he was to park, and specified the entrance to the complex. Bond proceeded to park and walked up to the big green glass-laden front of the complex. Inside, a security man directed him to an elevator. When he got out of the elevator, nobody was there. He went down a hall where he at length came to a block of executive office suites. For a moment he paused in the hallway looking at his device. Bond was browsing the Essay de l'Endam X account, which had caught his eye through a post alert in the halls of the 6th floor of the George Bush Center for Intelligence. The X account didn't have verification or premium features, but had snuck in a long tweet by pasting the text into a pic. Leave it to Wim Wenders to exercise Harry Dean Stanton in the role of the hombre. The hombre is the term Leo Strauss uses to name the figure which tempts Callicles away from the doctrine of sheer pleasure, the temptation to the manly grand life of the rich father. In the film Paris, Texas, an Hispanic cleaning lady asks Stanton whether he is a rich dad or a poor dad. Something in between, he says. There's only two kinds, she says. He decides on the rich one, the real hombre, the one who holds his head high, and she directs him how to dress appropriately. Isn't this the appeal of Trump? That he is the rich dad or patriarch with his family around and dependent on him for livelihood and inheritance. Bond went to open the door and it stuck where he had just enough room to squeeze through. He lifted up on it and pushed it free of the carpet where it was stuck and came in. There was a rather obese, but not morbidly obese man in his 60s with Japanese features, whose energy was like Putin if Putin had been cut up and spilled out all the male parts into feminine noisiness and a small nose, sitting behind the desk surfing the net inside the door. When he saw Bond, he greeted him with a peculiar obsequiousness in his manner and apologized for the door getting stuck.
I work like a dog. I'm so sorry. I just didn't have time to deal with that door. Maintenance is supposed to vacuum the carpet tomorrow, so I just left it. You look like an athlete. I used to be one.
I can tell.
Bond said, contemplating his gigantic third trimester belly, and wondered if the man were a DEI hire. Then his contact, David Aurora, came in and snatched Bond by the elbow.
Commander Bond, this way.
As he was going out with Bond into the hall that led to the offices over a carpet like that of any corporate office suite, Aurora said, "Thanks, Sean. I'll take it from here," to the obese Japanese secretary who had an almost painfully fretful look on his face. When they were in the hall, Bond asked about the man.
Oh, Sean. Well, we keep Sean on because of his mother, Betty. She's a great friend of the agency. Here we are. He looks a bit out of shape to be in the field. He's got more than the kills to merit what you call 00 status. Won his own father. He's dangerous. Between you and me, we argue about his Trump insult name in the office. Schizoid Sean or Schizo Sean. Grammar has become such a bother these days. Watch your phone around him. Do you still have it?
What? Bond suddenly realized his iPhone had been nicked.
We'll get it back. Sorry, Commander.
They went into the office and Aurora made a call. In just a moment, the obese man was rushing down the hall to return the phone. A bit of comedy ensued, and then Bond and Aurora were left to chat. Aurora explained that Felix was in the hands of Wanax. After the chat, Bond was sent off to Andrews US Air Force and then to Fort Bondsteel. As Aurora walked him out past the obese, Bond asked,
You say he wants to try his gun at killing again. How do the new kills compare with those before his delivery system got sick?
Even uglier. When Bond got placed in a room of his own and hooked up with the Humvee driver who had him on VP treatment as a secret squirrel, Bond wanted to check out the foothills of Big Duke.
Yay, buddy, I can take you out there, Commander Bond, sir.
As they were driving, Bond asked him what he knew about Wanax. The sun was starting to set, and it was chilly, but not freezing yet.
Big Pogey, that was what the soldier called Griffith Bond gathered. Used to show his face a few times I saw him, heard about him, here and there. Wanax is collecting up all kinds of rattle, you know, equipped like fuck, Commander, sir. What's he like?
He'll confirm your priors, Commander, sir.
Hey, stop here. What are those houses over there? Oh, Serbs, rich Serbs. Kosovo guys hate them. Thanks for the ride. I'll go by foot from here.
As he slammed the door, Bond said, meaning to ask if they were over the border into Serbia.
Are we still in NATO land? On the map, but Spectre makes the rules around here.
The Humvee rolled off out of sight, and Bond checked his Q-branch device, the clue tracker. It pointed towards the nucleus of the mountain. Bond just walked a bit. After an hour, he had gone through some neat little Serbian lanes and onto the dirt path about the foothills. Bond's steely blue eyes observed a gibbous moon stealing through the silvery melancholy above Mount Duke, a white planet peering into the landscape. He felt intoxicated by life. Everything became more and more unreal. The path went on outside the town into the foothills. The thick twilight departed with the last rays of setting light, and night's darkness sat wherever it could escape man's artifices and the moon. She danced and deported herself to an ancient dance, which at one time sects had prescribed in a polemical war over which steps were most fitting. Bond vaguely marked a body moving in the offing. Curly hair, medium height, curvy but firm body. He was haunted by the sight of a drunken girl dancing away from the gravel road. Mount Duke was dimly visible in the far offing. She had curly brown hair which was amplified in its waves by gusts of wind and which touched on her shoulders. She looked curvy, but strong from what could be judged through her unusual costume, and she had somewhat too much makeup on, Bond thought.
Don't worry. Hey, mister, I'm just a mountain girl.
What a fine mountain girl you are.
Bond said, almost too rampantly enjoying her Rausch form, and realizing that between the two of them she was now more the honey trap. The stickiness wouldn't disturb his technical prowess in the art at which he was trained, however. Of that he was certain, or almost certain. He inspected this vision in detail. Her red as though Balkan coat was as beautiful as a flower. Her hat was crooked and her silvery bottle of vodka empty. She started in on a drunken song. After a moment, she stopped the song she was singing and stared at Bond unflinchingly.
I know that you're a male honey trap.
She chanted in a wild, magnificent, bad English accent. She sat down on a bit of grassy ground and motioned him over. It was rather dark, but the lights from the nearby well-kept houses, which were owned by Serbs who worked somewhere in Western Europe, somehow carried over and blended with the moonlight so that one could see tolerably well. Keeping her in his gaze, he went and crouched by her. His L131A1 Glock 17 pistol rested easy on his hip strap.
You can't kiss me, my lipstick.
He touched her knee with his left hand through the thick red dress with green sashes, and pushed it up a bit.
Yes, pull it up.
She had a heavy black bush, but when she spread her legs very wide in inebriated acrobatics, he could get at her clitoris at once. And for some reason, he wasn't worried that she would kill him.
Oh, Mr. Bond, I want you to keep doing that. Now I want the dick.
She looked with pronounced lust at his pants and zipper. They went at it slowly, then rapidly, and she climaxed again. Bond was not one of those bourgeois who in their life find that love of each party for the other, true love, is rare. And that a penis in a vagina, when the hips move together, is the moment when one is truly happy with such a genuine and rare love pairing. He wasn't a modern European Dasein, though he had loved and been loved. For his Dasein, this was something secondary. He didn't love the girl, didn't long to either, nor did he wish her to love him, except that it would grant His Majesty's realms an advantage. Though she was magnificent, his real love which drew him into being was his country, and he killed for his country, for justice. He was like a Prussian who lived in the mysterious fate of the fatherland.
Why would a mountain girl worry about a honey trap?
A mountain girl who speaks English, James.
All right, why would a mountain flower who speaks English worry about a male honey trap?
Because I'm not supposed to talk to foreigners.
She stood up without her coat and spun around as though to show she had no weapons. Though it was superfluous, and Bond thought that whoever she was not an assassin, though she must have been close to the One-Axe group somehow, and privy to their secrets, since she knew who he was. As he was thinking this, she stepped back and said,
I'm part of them.
She sputtered the words in a low, feral whisper.
I'm in One-Axe group.
Bond was infected by the emotional atmosphere of her stream of actions as she twitched in her body when the wind rolled on her skin.
I'll tell you, Mr. Bond, but I want you to touch my softest part again afterwards. Bond VO, with pleasure.
Bond, who was rather lacking in appetite, being already spent, faked being tremendously moved. Bond VO. Now what's this sensitive information?
You see, James Bond, my grandfather was an important man in Kosovo in the Serbian community. It was Yugoslavia back then. Milosevic hadn't become the first sitting leader to be charged with war crimes yet. He sent his son, my father, to study in London at the LSE. Griffith stole the fruits of his scholarship, his dissertation work, and killed him.
She laughed.
Now, where is your Google map? Make it go to the mountain. To the mountain.
Bond took out his phone. Bond pointed the Google map to Ljubotin.
Look, there. You'll find a rather large tree. By it, there is a small outcrop of granite. You have to fiddle about with a loose stone, like a mechanic fixing something. Just get it to open, and inside is a lever. When you pull the lever, the tree will rise up 20 feet, and in the mass of roots there is a door like the doors one sees in Damascus. It's unlocked. You go in and pull the lever in there. That's going to sink it back into a network of tunnels. They reach all the way to Camp Bonsteel, but that's not where Griffith is. You go the other way, under the mountain.